Um, I started my journey as an artist not long ago, actually. When I was younger, I drew pretty girls, which is a trend since forever. But I didn't draw much, and I wanted to be a game programmer or a fashion designer. Drawing was more like a fun challenge, but eventually I realized that I needed to have a voice. I needed to do something genuine, to speak something, learn techniques, and yeah, just be myself, do something new. So, but here in Brazil, it's very complicated to be an artist. So the first thing I did when I finished school in 2017, I decided to go to fashion college, but I stopped after one semester because it wasn't for me. Then I started going to theater classes because I was shy and I loved it. And I also went to school for visual arts. And I began to understand what art really was and what it meant to be an artist. So in 2019, in the first semester of visual arts, I had a big surprise, and I was sure that this was the best path that I was supposed to follow. I was selected to exhibit this series of photographs in a group show at an important gallery here in Brazil. And it was interesting for me because I sent those same pictures to an exhibition in my college and was rejected. And in a much better place, a more important place, an important gallery, it was selected. So that's when I realized that it's okay to be rejected, that it has nothing to do, sometimes has to do about the quality of my work, but not always. So this is called Casa Numero Zero, which means house number zero. And it was inspired by a very famous song here in Brazil, a children's song that is about a house that doesn't have walls, don't have ceiling. Um, it has nothing. But I took them in an abandoned house in my neighborhood. I tried through these pictures to let the viewer's imagination operate, let them think about who lived there, how was their day-to-day life, why those objects were left behind. And you can see in the first picture the marks of a wardrobe that it's not there anymore. And at the entrance door in the second picture, there was these drawings by a child that showed maybe their family, their friends, and I got very enchanted by it. There was this calendar, very in a symbolic way, on the floor. It was perfect for the picture. um, it made me think about the memories that live in a house, why people left, and how time moves a house after everyone's gone. Then the pandemic came, and I had to start developing my art without any guidance because I wasn't having classes and I still didn't go back to college, but I'm going to next year probably. This is Speech. It was one of the first that I made in the pandemic. I was feeling sad and stuck, and I missed having printmaking classes and college classes. And I was like, I need to do something by myself, even though I don't have the right materials, I don't have a press, and it's going to be hard, but I had to do it. So I made this drawing that represented my current situation, the way that I was feeling, the situation that I was seeing in my country, that people felt like they were all in a pit. left to die in despair. Made a drawing and used a pointed tool to carve it that is usually used to ceramics, but it was the only thing that I had. And it was hard. My hand was hurting because the materials are not proper to use for this. And I left all my anger in this piece. Then I made this one also in the pandemic. Um, I was representing the feeling of having sensitive ears. At the time, I couldn't sleep because I could hear every little noise that my family did on the house, in the streets, and I wasn't tired enough to just ignore it because I wasn't leaving the house and getting tired. So it was a very difficult time, and I made this work. I used modeling paste to create these waves, to create movement and the feeling of vibrations. Um, Law of encounters is a reflection on the nature of encounters and how the universe is always coming back to the same point, is circular, cyclical. Um, these are monotypes in which the drawing were made on the back of the page and then transferred, kind of me without knowing what it's going to turn out. And I wanted to experiment with lines and the meaning that they could convey. This kind of monotype creates a very interesting and unique type of lines that only can be made this way. And these drawings are also a reflection on the pandemic, how the lack of these encounters touched me, and how if you are infected and you meet a person and then that person meets another person, we all get infected after an encounter. This series, Multiple Body, made me fall in love with dry pastels, soft pastels. After this, I always go back to this material. I realized that the texture was interesting for me because the colors are very potent on the paper and it's so fun to use it. I usually draw on the floor, so in a way that I can move my arms and put pressure and be expansive. And these people with multiple body parts are something that appears repeatedly in my work. These two are not a series, but I put these two together because they have a similar theme and were made in the same period, in which I was trying to communicate a feeling of being stuck and being in a void. And it was also an experimental phase in my paintings. These creatures that I paint are usually connected to each other in this void on an immaterial plane. And I think soft pastels are a great medium to create this effect, this dream effect, that dense background as if they are surrounded by energy. More from the series figures. And this is a big one. It is 1 meter wide and talks about the anger that I see in certain situations, an anger and violence that don't have a cause. I use strong colors in this one, lines and fast, intense movements to create this energy situation, chaotic and uncomfortable situation. And nobody knows why people are violent to each other, and that's the intention. This is Fragile Flag. It's kind of a textile sculpture. I found scraps of used fabric on my father's workshop, some pieces that he used to clean his hands. I tore the pieces, put them together, sealed them, and made my own Brazilian flag as if it was falling apart. The same way that I see the current situation in my country with the government, the fact that those pieces of fabric passed through my father's hands as he voted for this government is a very important part of this artwork. It's kind of a collab, but he doesn't know that. This one is called The Jerome's Nightmare and is a depiction of a recurring nightmare that most people have of the teeth falling. João is a very common name here in Brazil, and I used it to say that it happens to all of us. This sculpture took months to be finished because I couldn't find the right material for the skin, and I had to solve several problems regarding the way to hang the sculpture and the teeth. I wanted it to be very durable, and it was very fun to make it. I think the best part of making a sculpture for me is making them weird or different and having a lot of problem solving and doing something beyond just a sculpture on a stand. And while I couldn't perform on stage anymore because of the pandemic, I started searching for ways to use my body at home, doing performances, making self-tapes. And one of my performances that I recorded was silence. This one, I'll show you just these pictures because it's very long. And this performance is very important for me because it talks about an internal struggle that involves talking and being silenced and self-punishment for speaking. And I made this tongue with fabrics in a way that I could put my own tongue inside of it and use threads to tie the tongue to my teeth so it wouldn't fall. And it was interesting experience because even though it was not my tongue, I felt like I could hurt my own. And it was kind of therapeutic to stand there for several minutes, sealing the tongue, kind of like a meditation. I had to get total internal silence to focus on my action and ignore the uncomfortable sensation of the fabric in my mouth. Pose is a painting that I made on canvas that I cut the edges, and when I finished it, it reminded me of a heart, and it has this constant flow. That's why the name. And it's about connection, people connected, and having this flow of energy and this more abstract human forms. And making this piece was when I discovered that I want to make paintings that go beyond the four edges of a canvas, that is not just simply on a square support. And it's kind of a sculpture, but at the same time is two-dimensional. And right now, this is my research that I'm currently exploring more. And after this, watercolors started to call me, and I explore some other possibilities with the same human forms of pose, making blossom as if these forms were growing out of each other, like flowers blossoming. And I was feeling this urge to expand, and I made several paintings following this line. Some more positive paintings because before this I was doing a lot of anger and anguish pieces. Then I started to experiment with this medium that for me was like giving control to it. And I made a series of watercolor portraits. They are very small, they fit on the palm of a hand, and I was painting them on paper for printing, not watercolor paper, giving me some different results than if I used proper paper. And it was a good exercise of letting my art flow by itself through the material and not having the ability to uh, control it completely, and not knowing the final result after, just knowing after it dries. This is the size. And since I started doing NFTs, I wanted to experience making GIFs. And I made this one using the same technique with watercolors, which was a lot of fun. And this one is about my labyrinthitis crisis that occur from time to time. And I get very dizzy. These are some series of pieces that I made exploring the watercolor and the theme of multiples too. The cocoon of the inner child is a dialogue with myself. I strongly believe that during our life, this child is always manifesting itself with its pains and joys, and we should take care of them, nurture them, keep them well and healthy, because only then we can have a good life. They are part of us, even though we are adults now, but they gave everything that we are right now. They lived everything before, so we could be who we are. And this piece is about protecting them, healing them, so they could be free and face the world. This one is also about being silenced and being powerless. This person is in a void, and there are all these hands grabbing and holding their face, preventing them from speaking. And it was painted on wood, on a wood support that I found. And if you look closely, there are beautiful wood veins. This is in Lassi. I think the translation might be link, but I'm not sure. So this is a series that is still being developed, in which I bring the same theme of connection and in a certain way being stuck to someone else. And I explore these more organic edges, tearing them up. And I also use soft pastels to give this transparent feeling. And that's all of them. Thank you very much. Let me give the hosts back.
Yay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
I didn't know you make performances and like installation, sculptural installation. That was a surprise. Which looked really, really good. Flag, and you're definitely really good at drawing hands, which is a skill.
Thank you. Yeah, I focus very much on this because it's hard, and yeah, you have to try it.
We already have a question in the chat. It's from Bethan. She says, your work is very colorful. Which colors are you more drawn to?
Oh, definitely pink and purple. Purple, I love it very much. It's always the color that I need to like. I try not to use it because I love it very much, or I would like paint everything purple, but I can't. I think I don't. Maybe I should, but I think it's a color of spirituality, and it it also it's the mix between the blue and the pink, and I love this. I love these three colors too.
Okay. There's another question in the chat. Do you consider your work to be sad?
No, not sad, I think, but maybe that one is difficult, but maybe more anguish than sad, more like trying to expand and be unable to, but not in a sad way, in a more like I need to, you know.
I can definitely see the anger in the way you're drawing. Like I can see the energy and the angles when the lines meet as well. But yeah. Really. I also have a few questions as well, but if anyone else has questions, please go first. I don't mind. Carmela.
Hi. Before a question, I just wanted to say at the beginning where you talked about rejection, I really, really like that you shared that with us. Because like so often like artists apply to opportunities and like get rejected all the time, and like it can really, really damage a sense of self-worth. But the fact that you was rejected at college for an exhibition and you came to like a really like good gallery and they accepted you, like that's really inspirational. So I just wanted to thank you for sharing that with us. Also I was really interested like in your work composition wise. Do you kind of like plan your compositions, or is it something that just comes to you as you're kind of drawing?
Most of the times I plan it a lot, like obsessively. Like I need to learn to be more plan less, because I really everything is important. The colors are important. The like the placement of things, it's very important for me. And sometimes when we start something and it's not planned, maybe it don't convey the message that I'm searching for. Sometimes it's good because it can convey another message, but I like to like I want to say this and it's going to be this. But sometimes I like to exercise like just doing, and sometimes the things are better this way.
I was just going to say thank you. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
You also have two more questions. One of them is, what advice would you give to emerging creatives?
Keep going, I think. Sometimes I think about giving up all the time in the beginning, more, but now that I'm like I got accepted in some stuff, some like galleries, and I think to myself, maybe it has a place in the world, so I'll keep going. But in the beginning we don't have this this how to say it, like sometimes people won't like accept your work, and you have to keep going and believing in your work, or believing that one day it will get better. I think that's important.
That's true. Especially considering, like, I didn't know you started making art like recently, and I can see how you develop like really quick. And yeah, I bet this attitude helped in your process. And another comment. Thank you very much. Your work is great. I'd love to see the video of the tongue performance. Where can I see it?
Maybe I'll make it available. I need to upload somewhere. But I don't know, maybe
You can share it. I don't know.
It's not available.
Or yeah, whenever if you share it one day, you can send it to us and we can share it with other people.
Okay, that would be nice.
And thanks for that question, because I want to see as well. Like, I'm really curious. I had a question. I know you're making NFTs. And I'm wondering, how did you get to make NFTs? Like, how did you start?
It was kind of nowhere. Like I have a friend that was doing it, and I met him, and he said, "You should do it." Like, he didn't explain me at all what it was. Like, he just said that it was like you buy art online that is just online, and I'm gonna search about it. And then I started. Like I saw some tutorials and made a Twitter for it, and it happened. And I think I'm 8 months doing it. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Do you see your art to have more meaning in the digital world, or like when you have it physical in front of you? How would you prefer to display it? For example, if you have to choose from the two of them.
I would rather display it physically, but it's interesting because it's two different publics. Like I get some recognition in the NFT world in a different way than I get in the traditional art world. And I like both of them. Like, I think it's nice to have these two worlds happening at once. But I like I love exhibitions and like talking to people and vernissage at vernissage. It's opening, they.
And one more for the same subject. Did the NFT change the way you do your art?
Actually, yes, in a good way. I started to experiment more and do more works. I used to like in a week I'm going to make like one artwork, but there was times when I started NFTs that I made like 3 works in a day, and it was good because I learned a lot in this process. But sometimes it can be like the need for selling is not great, but it helped me to develop my work because I'm kind of a procrastinator.
All been there. No worries. Well, we can end it here if you want, but I just wanted to mention again that we have the show on and it's live on the website, so please go there, see the show. There's a feedback wall. If you want to leave feedback, will be very helpful for the artists, but also for us. So yep, please feedback is really important. And thanks a lot, Bárbara.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure
and
to
everyone that came.
and to know more about your work. And yeah, thank you for doing the residency. It's been great so far, and I'm sure there'll be more exciting things coming up soon.